Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being with us today. My name is Aditi Anand. I'm here talking to you today on behalf of Navneet Ranjan and Dharavi Diary. First of all, just want to say a big thank you to Daily Wage Worker Platform for not only giving us the opportunity to talk to you guys today about our fundraising efforts to Dharavi with Love Hunger Helpline, but to also for also having supported us right from the beginning and helping us get to this point. As many of India is now climbing that sharp ascent towards the peak of this crisis, and Bombay is certainly bearing, a big part of that brunt. Just Maharashtra alone has something like 60,000 cases. Um, and for within Bombay, and I just want to pull up something that would be an illustration of what I'm saying. Um, as you can see, uh, from these dark blue lines, most of these dark blue lines represent wards in Bombay where there are significant slum clusters. And if you see the one right on top, this is Ward G North. Ward G North is the ward that represents Dharavi. So as you can see, we have a significant challenge on our hands. For those of you who are somewhat unfamiliar with Dharavi, I just want to show you guys something that I think is a good representation. Um, this this is why there is a problem, right? Um, Social distancing is not only a luxury; it is nearly impossible. And in this circumstance, not only are people left in a situation where it's difficult for them to isolate, but they're also in a circumstance where they haven't been paid. Many of the people that these homes, that these rooftops represent, these are people who work in malls. These are the guys who drive the Ubers, share cabs, taxis, auto rickshaws, the famous auto rickshaws of Bombay. Um, they're also domestic staff. They work in factories. They work in the tanneries. A lot of these people haven't been paid in the last 2 or 3 months. And in this circumstance now, we're in a scenario not just where COVID is a challenge, the lockdown is a challenge. The lockdown has disproportionately impacted communities from within Dharavi. But now to compound that, we also have a situation where we now have the onset of the monsoon. So within 2 weeks, Bombay will now also be facing the brunt of what is usually a very difficult monsoon, and in this particular circumstance will be even harder. Um, Dharavi is, I'm scrolling in to show you that uh, this is a situation where every year the open drains in Dharavi are cleaned and desilted. But unfortunately, this year, because of the COVID crisis, they've been unable to do that, which means that not only does Dharavi flood every year, but this year you could possibly see a worse flooding, which brings with it its own share of issues. Vector-borne diseases. This is the time for malaria. This is the time for typhoid. This is the time for all kind of gastrointestinal issues. And not just that, of course, we continue to grapple with COVID while also grappling with this monsoon. Things are getting really difficult, and I can tell you from the ground that people are panicking. They are panicking simply because they just don't have the resources to look after themselves through this time. Uh, one can go around in circles in blaming the administration, etc., but it is also true that the quantum of the crisis is so enormous that without participation from all of us, it is nearly impossible to surmount this. Which is why I'm extremely grateful for the work that Dharavi Diary has been doing. For those of you who are unfamiliar with Dharavi Diary and the antecedents, Dharavi Diary is a learning center based out of Dharavi. They use STEM education. So in fact, as Navneet has reminded me, he says not STEM but STEAM, because it's science, technology, engineering, art, and mathematics. They work particularly with young girls, making sure that girls finish school, making sure that they are prepared for and to help with employability. And very recently, in fact, they also won the Google Rise Award. As soon as this COVID crisis started, Dharavi Diary instantly jumped into relief work. And I think it's incredible because Navneet calls his students change makers, and that's certainly what they've been during this time. They have been the volunteers who have been doing an enormous amount of the distribution work that has been required. They have distributed, as you can see, I mean, I'm going to scroll up and scroll down. They have distributed to something like 2,500 families since the start of this fundraiser, and almost an equivalent amount before we got involved. They are in process this week of doing another 1,000 families or delivery for another 1,000 families. This is in incredibly difficult circumstances, as you can imagine. These are very young kids, and it's incredible that and I think what is really special actually is that this is the community empowering itself to help itself. And I think that that's really a success story, and when this is all over, this is something that that we should really highlight and talk about. For me, Navneet Ranjan and these young people are very much the heroes that have come out of this crisis. Not only have they been doing distribution, but they have also, as you can see here, they've started doing thermal scanning to check for fever. As you can see that the volunteers all wear face shields and masks, so that not only do they protect themselves, they also protect the beneficiaries. They have also been checking oxygen saturation with oximeters. So in many ways, they're going above and beyond, even above and beyond what the administration is being able to do. They're ensuring that they can raise red flags. If there are people who are carrying fevers, if there are people who need medical interventions, it is the students of Dharavi Diary who are being able to ensure that those people get the help that they need. To help them, we set up, with the sponsorship from Crush Fitness India, we set up a helpline actually. So if you see, hopefully, if we're lucky, we can see a couple of calls happening there. You can see these are all volunteers. These are all volunteers from all across India who have come together. We're trying to use technology solutions to resolve these crises. These are all people who are taking calls currently. And as they take calls, all of these calls and ration requirements get fed into this system. As you can see, this is just from a couple of days. And I mean, you can see from these sheets how enormous the need is. Every day, this call center is clocking between 600 to 700 calls. And these are all requirements. These are all ration requests that we would like to complete. From here, the distribution team then gets the data, and they're able to organize themselves better and do the distribution. One of the advantages of better organized data, for example, is that recently Navneet was able to convince the local administration to provide those who don't have active ration cards so for example, some of these people who don't have active ration cards for the local administration to also provide them with food grains. And this has happened because we were able to submit the substantial data of how many people there really were. Secondly, we're also able to to collect information on things like how many HIV positive people there are. So if therefore there's an organization that is able to provide HIV medication, we're able to reach those people. Some of the people that have been calling in, the stories are just heartbreaking. There's a young girl. She herself is only 14 years old. Her mother is no more. And her father has got stuck in another part of India. So she is now alone at home, and she's she's looking after three young brothers. And this in a situation where there is no money, There is no way for her father to be able to send her any money, and there's no food. So luckily, Dharavi Diary did manage to get this call. They did manage to help this family. Similarly, we have just today, just a few hours before our interaction today, we got a call from somebody whose husband died from COVID on the 13th of May. And the family was put into quarantine, and they were just brought back. They were yesterday, and they've been brought back, and they haven't been given any kind of help. They have no food at home. So again, these are the sort of cases that we know that we have to ensure that we get help to them very quickly. Many people have asked me, what happens in terms of how do we ensure that there are no leakages in the system. I just wanted to say that apart from the fact that I have enormous respect for Navneet Ranjan and the work that he's doing and his students, we also have a very robust system. So once we get these ration requests, we place an order with the wholesaler for specifically those number of kits, right? So so we have, so as you can see here on this sheet, this is about 300 people here. If I have to service this sheet, I place a request with the wholesaler for 300 kits. Those 300 kits get delivered, and the money gets, and we draw down exactly only as much as we need for the invoice to be completed. So there's never any cash sort of just lying around, and the second part of the verification is that, okay, now we managed to get the kits, but did the kits get delivered? So these sheets will then tally with the previous sheets that you guys were looking at. And we have volunteers who then call people on these sheets. And not only do they check if it was delivered, they also add in additional data like ration card, etc. And they also check whether they have stock left for the coming days. There are those people, those donors who don't want to donate in cash, and we completely understand that. And for them, we have set up a Amazon wish list. This Amazon wish list covers, there we go, sorry. This Amazon wish list covers all the things that we need pretty desperately. So that's wheat, you have rice, you have rice, dal, oil, salt, and sugar. Now, just for your reference, our kit actually, includes 10 kgs of rice, 5 kgs of wheat, 2 kgs of lentils or dal, 1 liter of oil, and and salt and sugar. We're also trying desperately to get your donations, and to also get these donations for sanitary pads. We know that there are many women in Dharavi who probably don't have access to any kind of clean sanitary facilities at the moment, and we'd like to change that. We're also looking to see if people can donate soap. As we know, soap is the best shield against the COVID crisis. I would request all of you. We'll have where we will also be posting links to the Daily Wage Worker platform. You can donate through the platform. You can also both the fundraisers are running. One is our international fundraiser is running on Keto, and our domestic fundraiser is running on Our Democracy. Those links are also available. We will also paste the link to our Amazon wish list. I just wanted to say that the rains are no more than 2 weeks away. Once the rains begin, there will be waist-high water. A lot of that will be water that has overflowed from drains. It's going to become nearly impossible to do the distribution at the level that we are doing it today, right? We have volunteers that go in early morning and come back, at past midnight. That's going to become impossible. And we need your help desperately to complete 3,000 kits within this week. To do 3,000 kits, we need 26 lakh rupees, which translates to roughly about $43,000. I know that it seems like a very large sum, but that is genuinely the amount of money that is required for us to be able to make sure that all of the people that I mentioned to you earlier in the call, this young girl, the HIV patients, heart patients, diabetics, all of these people in Dharavi, they get, at least, at the very least, what they deserve. They deserve a lot more, but at the very least, if we could just make sure that they can stay home and they have food twice a day, 2 hot meals, I think that that's something that we all want to work towards. So once again, please donate. The name of the campaign is To Dharavi with Love Hunger Helpline. You can Google us. Please check out the Dharavi Diary Facebook page. We'll also share a link to that with this post. So with that, thank you very much. Thank you for your time. Really appreciate once again what Daily Wage Worker platform has been able to do for us. Thank you.